Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this special edition of Double Barrel Gaming. As you can see in the title, we are going to be discussing in depth, no spoilers, The Last of Us Part 2, one of 2020's most notoriously spoken about game. Some people have in their tongues controversy, and of course, when you talk about controversy, you can't leave out Naughty Dog. Unfortunately, prior to this game coming out, there was a lot of information that came out thanks to, one of the internet sleuth, if you want to call him that, Jason Schreier, that there was crunch going on. Of course, the terrible leaks happened, and for the most part, a lot of the leaks were not true, but some were, and the game might have been ruined for some. But you're not going to get any of that here today. We are going to be talking about this game. We've all played it. I have not beaten it yet. I am 25 plus hours in, and the reason why I haven't beaten it is simply because I am a collector. I look through every nook and cranny, and when I feel like I've missed something in a level, I will reload a save and play through it once again to make sure that I find every collectible. It's something that I look forward to doing, and I have unlocked a tremendous amount of silver trophies because I'm trying to upgrade my stats like crazy. But let's get into, of course, the introductions, because I couldn't do this show myself, and certainly talking for an hour 15 minutes might be too much for the vocal cord. So I want to introduce my panel. First up, you know him as someone that's a regular and on Breakfast with Boom, but he's also our resident trophy hunter, someone that represents the PlayStation Nation in a proper manner. Please welcome to the stage, BitCloud Gaming.
Hey, what's going on? Appreciate the invite. Let's let's talk.
Yeah, this is one of those shows that I look forward to doing simply because not only is this a game that's closing out a generation very similar to The Last of Us with the PlayStation 3, I felt a tremendous amount of emotions through the entire game so far. I mean, I am pretty far. I want to say that I might be about 10 hours or maybe 12 hours the way I play from beating this, and I'm okay with that. I usually put 30, 40, 50, sometimes even 60 hours into these single player games because I really enjoy getting into the story. But a show like this is fun because not only do we get a chance to hang out with each other and and talk about a game in a proper manner, not through fanboyism but through actual gamers talking about a game, but we get to hang out with this incredible, outstanding community. And let's move on with the next introduction. Again, someone that represents the PlayStation in a way that is not only proper, but it's something that makes me smile because, again, when talking about the PlayStation Nation, sometimes, just like with Xbox and just, of course, with Nintendo, there are trolls that ruin it for everyone. But this next gentleman is a light in the darkness. You know him as Mr. Badbit, the voice of the trophy room. Welcome to the show, my friend.
The real enemies, the Sega fans. That's who we got to worry about. These Dreamcast 2 peeps. Well, what are you doing out there? Hey, what's up, guys?
The future is in your hand. A tiny portable.
It's nuts out there. These Sega people are like, give me Sonic, give me, what is that, Jet Force Gemini, whatever it is. Hey, how's everybody today? I've had 3 hours of sleep, and I can't wait to talk about Last of Us Part 2.
Well, listen, thank you for being here. Obviously, you are chomping at the bit to get get the discussion rolling. But we have to introduce our next panel member. You know him as the mouth of the South of Canada. He's one of the raunchiest gamers that I know, but he's actually one of the finest community members that you can call a friend. Please welcome Noof Nukem.
Loving this panel already. It's full of booms and bits, so we definitely got it going on. And we're talking about one of the most polarizing and possibly greatest games of the gen, for sure. This is going to be an interesting discussion today, like you said, because everybody's trying to stay away from spoilers, not to ruin it for people. But there's a lot of apex points in this game that going to have to tiptoe around, but I think people will get the gist of things. It's going to be a good show, man. I'm excited to be here. Thanks again for the invite, and shout out to the chat. It's going to be a good one.
Well, first of all, thanks again for being here, dude. This is obviously something that is mainstream news. It's something that everyone that enjoys playing on a PlayStation is more than likely playing. I think that this is a type of game that is, like you were saying, very polarizing, and there are tremendous ups and downs in regards to emotion when it comes to this game. But before we get actually into, of course, what everyone is here, I have to just say a big thank you. On Twitter this morning, I made the announcement that my wife and I are celebrating our 20th anniversary today. And Miss Boomstick, obviously, she's working, so that's why there isn't going to be a Breakfast with Boom this weekend, this Friday, because we're going to have a long, extended weekend, just some R&R time with each other. But the overwhelming words of kindness and support and congratulations were so abundant that I could not respond to everyone. So if I didn't respond to you, it wasn't that I didn't appreciate it. It's just that it became overwhelming, especially when I had a show looming. And I just want to thank everybody for the unbelievable congratulations. But let's get into, of course, why the 60 people. Now, I'm not expecting a huge crowd. I'm going to be honest with you, because there are a lot of people that want to stay away from spoilers, which we're going to do. And a lot of people are, either really liking this game or really hating it. And before we get into our personal opinions, I want to talk about a big story that has hit and it continues to, I don't want to say spiral out of control, but gain traction, if you will. And that is, of course, the scores. Now, as it stands right now, I believe currently on Metacritic, it sits at a 95, if I'm not mistaken, which is absolutely incredible. But it's not that particular score that I want to talk about. It's the user review scores. Now, it is currently, and it's laughable. It is head scratching, and also there might have some credence to it. Currently, the lowest score Metacritic game in the history of Metacritic as a whole was E.T. for the Atari 2600 that had a 3.4. Currently, The Last of Us 2, unbelievably enough, has matched that by giving a 3.3, the lowest in the history of gaming. Now, I will say this. We do have to look at this from a proper mindset. User scores are, in my personal opinion, are as useless as two tits on a bull. That's just my stance on it, simply because you can have, and we've seen this happen, the old review bombs. Though I did go into, and there were thousands upon thousands of posts, I do want to just, I don't have any particular names I'm going to bring up, but I am going to say that there are several posts that I read that it was actually fans of the series who walked away tremendously disappointed with some of the story arcs and some of what we're going to get into a little bit later. I'm just interested to hear, BitCloud, I want to start with you. Obviously, we all of us produce content, so we understand that user-based scores, they really aren't the bee's knees, if you will. Did you get a chance to read any of the ones that people who said play the game were disappointed, or did you just see trolls?
I seen mostly trolls, because a lot of them were posting the spoilers in the actual reviews.
Idiots.
And some were actually doing that, just like to Neo in general. Like every post Neo did, even when the game released, they were posting like certain scenes from the game. They were just doing that to be jerks. So again, the game and those scores, Lord, it's a mixed bag. Like some of those I can definitely see being legit. Others, though,
They're all trolls.
not so legit. Yeah, because a lot of dudes were reviewing the game, and they were reviewing it based on what they saw somebody else actually play and actually streaming it. So there was a lot of people doing that. They were rating it based off of streams. They didn't experience it, didn't play it. Now, watching something and playing something are two completely different things. You know what I'm saying? There's a different feel when you actually play it and experience it. That's the issue. But again, in terms of my reaction to it, like my review, well, I can't really say because it's not spoilers, but we'll definitely I'm gonna get into that very, very soon. But it's
Yeah, folks, just to give
it ain't
everybody.
Sunshine of Rainbows. I'll just put it like that. I know a lot of people might go Brian's play like Big Cloud's PlayStation. He might just go. He's gonna give it like a 97 or 80. Just
Well,
wait.
you know what? The way I want people to understand, we're going to break this down, is the scoring aspect that we're going to give our final opinion on the game, and our official score will be towards the end of the program.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions that we are going to be asking in that realm, in that part of the show, again towards the end, is what Naughty Dog does now. And that's going to be a very interesting take, because I have some theories, I have some suspicions, and I want to see them continue to bring us new IPs and new stories to tell, for us to enjoy. And of course, the way we're going to break this down is we're going to start off with our general impression of the game. We're going to go into we're going to discuss in the graphics department, and we're going to talk about some of the tropes that come along with Naughty Dog games that weren't as bad as some of the Uncharted ones, and we're going to get into like the RPG aspect, the controls, which were phenomenal, and the weapons use, and we're going to break it down like that. But before I go to Noof Nukem on this, I just have to thank two people. First of all, Viper XT drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. Says every Sonic game is on sale in Xbox right now. Could a new Sonic game be coming? Indeed. You just never know with Sonic. And you know what? When you see those kind of big sales, you do get that. And Viper XT once again shows his outstanding generosity. He drops an additional $2 super chat and says, congrats on 20 years, Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. Well, dude, thank you very much for the congrats. But more importantly, thank you for your generosity. But Noof, you, my friend, I want to get your general impression when it comes. But before we get to the general impression, I want to know your thoughts on these outrageous really the tale of two sides.
Yeah.
95 versus 3.3 with no middle ground seems as if maybe the game is getting overscored or potentially overscored, and then of course on the negative side, people are just being D-bags.
I would have to say it's more of the latter, boom, with people being D-bags. I think the same crowd that's basically review bombing this game are the same crowds that torched the crap out of BioWare when the ending wasn't up to their liking for Mass Effect. That is the weird thing with the gaming community, and I guess almost any fan base in general, is that whether you pick an actor or how you tell a story, everybody has their own preconceived notion of what they think a game should be to them. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, one person might love the game and absolutely appreciate all the plot twists or the turns in the story and and that sort of stuff. And the same person, depending on how they feel about the character, may hate it. I can say The Last of Us sort of, in my opinion, not to try to give anything away, but it kind of pulled a bit of a Halo 5 on this one.
Yes.
Sort of, so to speak, where it kind of goes in a different direction, maybe that most of us didn't see coming. But and like I said, some people will love it. People have got to get away from afflictions to certain characters and feeling that they're invincible, because it really ruins storytelling. But as far as the reviews, it's definitely review bomb, because there is no way. I mean, unless you just vehemently got something against this game, there's no way that this game can be anywhere close to 3.3 or 4 or 5. This game is not mediocre in the least. If you at least liked the first game, then you should at least like this one.
You'll appreciate
you will appreciate the refinements that they did, but they didn't break the formula, they didn't break the wheel, they didn't completely change the game. Their biggest change was in storytelling for this game. I'm not buying I get it. Yeah, the 10s might seem a little out there as well. I mean, but I'm okay with 10s, because I don't think 10 means that the game is flawless or perfect. I think 10 just means this is about as good as you can expect out of a form of entertainment. Doesn't mean it doesn't have flaws, but again, you could say very few games should earn a 10, is what I said, but no game should earn a 0. I'm not buying these user scores. I think they're bullshit. And the guys who are doing it, you guys need to pull your heads out of your butts, because seriously, this game is awesome, and there's no other way around it.
And I agree. I think you
The
not
AI
only,
improvement alone
yes.
is worth high praise. Like it's
Oh,
so
for sure. Yeah,
that-
and we're
Yeah.
actually we're gonna break that down
Can't wait
because
to get into the graphics part. Yeah,
it is, yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. That there, I mean, there is a lot to cover, and we're going to break it down where it's enjoyable to not only us as the people on the panel, but the people, the 100 people that we have listening. I want to thank everybody for being here. And Eagles fan 76 shows his generosity once again with an outstanding $5 super chat and says this: minus the trolls. Do you guys think there was something wrong about reviews with the mainstream media not allowed to give a review on the whole game?
yeah. But I start with that.
I mean, you actually did touch on that. You know what? That's an interesting
yeah.
question. I believe it's something that we can actually add to the show because, again, we'll get to it, but for me personally, like I was telling you, that I had a tremendous amount of emotion, not from the story being told, but what happened during the game that had me really annoyed, aggravated, pissed off, and then after using, after the second half, found that I enjoyed what they did, but didn't like how they did it.
Right. It felt more like a what's the word? Shock value type
Yes.
versus naturally happening, and you just going, "Oh my god!" like that.
You were running out of expletives, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. It was like that. It was like you could have done a lot of other stuff, or you could have still done it, but you could have done it like at a different pace, type of thing,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And as far as them not being able to review the whole game, I actually do agree with Eagles fan with that, and the reason why, again, obviously no spoilers, but you got to play the whole game. For those of you that don't understand, haven't played it yet, minus the first half of this game. Once you play through it all the way, because this game kind of feels like two games in one.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And it's like one half is one game, one story, and the other half is another. So you have to play the whole thing to fully understand it. But once you get to that full like experience type of thing, that's where the review really should have came into play. But they didn't.
Well, I thought, and I could be wrong, because when I was interviewing Brock a week ago about his thoughts of The Last of Us, they played the whole game. They could only talk about the first half. The problem was the embargo was so restrictive of what they can actually talk about because of the second half of this game. This game is all about, like, it's all about
shock and all.
yeah, you could say that. I was thinking more kind of playing with your perceptions of how things are going to do, right? So it's about flipping expectations. I know there's a better word for that.
Yeah, I mean, you got that with the first one. I mean, it hasn't been done. It's not like it hasn't been done before with the game, because we all with the first one. I mean, we had two perspectives. We had Joel and we had Ellie. And this one, again, I don't want to go to sports territory, but yeah, you gotta get that.
Yes, absolutely. But you know what, Joe? Let's get into your opinion regarding the user review scores that seem to be making mainstream media news, as opposed to the 95 that it's currently sitting at on Metacritic. I mean, do you agree with most of the panel that a lot of these are just knuckleheads looking to review bomb, or have you had a chance to actually read some of the people who might have been fans and just were disappointed and decided to drop their scores to an all-time low?
Boom, are you telling me that there are people on the internet that just want to do shitty things?
Yeah,
that is what
the whole
no
posted in the chat.
No, absolutely. There's awful people on the internet that just want to get a reaction. As to me, I was spoiled about the whole game before walking into this game, so I knew what happened.
Yeah, that's right. You sure were. Yeah.
So I knew. Maybe, and that's like I readied myself at certain parts, but I knew it was going in. I knew what I was getting. So to see, like, people being awful on Metacritic, it's Metacritic. So, like, my opinion on Metacritic is already low. So I don't care what it's rated. I don't like 1 to 10 scoring to begin with, because it is, of course, all reviews are subjective. And at the same exact time, like, it's also a weighted scale, because some games like Doom, you don't care about the story. I can't tell you what happened in Doom Eternal. I played that 3 months ago, but I could tell you I had fun doing it, right?
Okay, yeah, all right. So that makes sense.
So for me, it's always on a should I buy it, a recommendation thing, rather than I understand why scores are there. They're great for SEO, they get your clicks, but for me, yeah, when I saw the scores, I wasn't surprised. You know, you take a look at like someone like the Quartering, he literally posted, I'm not even kidding you, 26 videos about how awful Last of Us 2 is in a span of like a month and a half. Yeah, so like so of course there's going to be angry people online about really stupid aspects of this game that spoilers on those spoilers aren't even true.
Right.
Aren't even accurate.
Well, again,
Yeah.
when I put it this way, as someone that's looking from the outside in, if you, let's say for instance you're just a fan of the shows, you watch YouTube and you have your programs that you watch. When you see a particular entity make that many videos and just have stuff negative to say, sometimes you got to just reevaluate whether or not they're worth your time.
And also the word I wanted to use, when we say shock value, it is all about, this game is all about subverting expectations. And so you have an expectation walking in, you have an idea, the story is painting it in such a way, and then it subverts and does something different, but yet still making sense within the narrative. And then you having that oh snap moment.
Yo, there was quite a few snap moments in this game.
Trust me, when you get to the end, it's like, all right, settle down, Kojima. So yeah.
Well, listen, let's get into general impressions. Let's get into that. You know, and I'll start. And before I do, let me just thank Spider-Man with the outstanding $2 super chat. He says, yeah, Halo Infinite teaser just dropped. Oh my God, goosebumps. Yes, if you don't know what he's talking about, I posted it on Twitter thanks to a very good friend of the show, D Black Raven, hit me up in a DM. I listened to it 3 times. Real quick, we're opening tomorrow's Xbox Factor podcast with a full-on breakdown of the I don't know, it was maybe a minute and a half, 2-minute trailer that was posted on the Halo YouTube channel, and we have absolute 100,000% confirmation that Atriox and the Banished will in fact be making their way to Halo Infinite. I'm talking about it, folks, and I'm already getting goosebumps. And yes, that is confirmed. That is a real thing. I've listened to the clip 3 times. I want to listen to it 3 more at least, because it's one of those things that happens out of the blue and completely transforms the hype level from lukewarm to a blazing fire that's uncontrollable. And that is what's going to happen once you get a chance to listen to it as well. So I say head over to the Halo channel on YouTube and give that a listen, because holy shit, it is real and it's on right now. But let's get back to why we're all here. Now, my general impression of this game is it is screaming of quality. I will say this. It is a game that you can absolutely tell that the wizards at Naughty Dog have pushed the PlayStation 4 to its absolutely thread-like limits. You cannot get any better than this game, and I'm telling you, they are literally pushing this to the edge of madness on the power of the PlayStation 4. I'm playing on a Pro. I don't know what it looks like on a regular, a vanilla one. I don't know if it's having any, performance issues. It's running perfectly fine.
I've had none. It's I've got the Slim. It's running perfectly fine. I mean, the biggest thing with the base model is that things can look a little bit blurrier in places, stuff like that. Obviously, the bump in resolution.
Some of the background stuff, you can, again, when they're up close and personal on a character, like when a lot of the scenes with Joel were very close, where I mean you could even see the pores of his face. It's pretty incredible. But if you look past him, if you look behind him, you can see that some of the screen looked as if it was like Vaseline on there. But that's just the way that they're. Look, I'll put it this way: I have no issues with the graphics. I think everything about this game is phenomenal. But my general what's that?
It might have been clicker snot.
Oh, maybe, but I think one of my I don't have a lot of disappointments with this game. I don't have a lot of things that bothered me, but there's one specific instance that continues to happen throughout the game that feels disjointed. That is some of the criticism that this game has received has been its storytelling, not so much the story itself. Now, the story, I will say this, is not as strong as the original one. That is for sure. The first game story is leaps and bounds better, but not making this story worthless. My biggest issue, my biggest problem is the game, and I was telling this to Joe in the private, before we went live. The game goes from 100 miles an hour to a crawl in a snap of a finger, and it's very disjointing. And there are a lot of flashbacks, especially with Ellie in the beginning, where you go from this massive action set piece where you're either fighting a bunch of a bunch of clickers or bloaters, the regular zombie like characters, or of course some of the humans that you come across, the WFTs, and it goes from you're playing that, you're excited, you're finding stuff, you're doing, you're playing the game, you're enjoying it, you're looking to go to the next big set piece, and the brakes hit, and it's 4 years later, and you're like, what the shit just happened? And it's again, I don't know why they decided to do it like this. I understand they're trying to tell a huge story from when Ellie left the hospital with Joel to where they're currently at now, but a lot of the stuff, unfortunately, for me at least, felt disjointed, and that obviously is going to affect my overall score. But Mr. Badbit, let's bring you back into the conversation. You had some very interesting to say. What is your general impression when it comes to The Last of Us 2?
So I was really scared that this was going to be a Red Dead 2 situation.
Oh no.
That I if y'all don't know, I'm not a big fan of Red Dead 2.
But you love one.
But by God, I love Red Dead Redemption. By God. Micah. God damn it. Red Dead 1's one of my favorite games of all time. Red Dead 2 just didn't do it for me because to me there are points in that game where it's just like you forgot you were a video game. Like and it doesn't come in like cuts, like when people are like, there's 11 hours of cutscenes. Am I watching a movie or am I playing? Not that. It's the like the things like the horseball physics that I don't need, right? Like you getting off out of your horse and then you're doing a mission and you don't have your rifles with you because they're on the goddamn horse. It's those annoyances, the simulation part that I'm not the fan of. That's what I was scared of here. In terms of story, very broad stroke, as I'm still kind of like grappling with it or still trying to talk it over myself. It's great in that aspect. Last of Us has always been great at that aspect of like deciphering the end for yourself and what it means, making your own conclusion within that conclusion. But overall, Last of Us 2 is a worthy successor of The Last of Us Part 1.
Yes.
That said, story nowhere near as great as the first game, because I think the first game was just such a moment in that time of gaming. So I think just their story still great, still good. It's just Last of Us Part 1 is just top tier when it comes to that. And then it's kind of the other way around. As Last of Us 1's gameplay, I wasn't the hottest on, even replaying it for my show. Yeah, man, the AI are real big dum-dums. And they're still dum-dums here, but they're better. Like the gameplay is way more refined. It is gruesome, it is visceral, but visceral with purpose. It's not gore porn. It is something that you don't take necessarily enjoyment of. It's all about filling tension and relieving said tension, and that's what I think Last of Us Part 2 does so well. Is the gameplay mechanics are just so solid, and the sound design in Last of Us Part 2, which again we'll talk about, hands down the best sound design in a video game. Incredible.
Well, to your point, the sound is a massive part of the game. See, people don't understand, and I'll say this as we continue to get general impressions. For me personally, this is one of the best stealth games I have played since Splinter Cell. It is unbelievable. You could logistically handle an entire set piece without firing a single shot
And-
if you are patient enough.
And how many set pieces there are in this game that feel so great.
Yeah,
That's
a lot of
what
them. Yeah.
it kind of flips where like Last of Us 2 is like gameplay is king and story takes a second second seat there, or passenger seat, whereas the first game was great story, combat kind of
like
yeah, exactly. So for me, it's a worthy successor. Do I recommend it? Yes, absolutely.
Well, yeah, and again, obviously, again, we're going to be
impression.
We're just going to do impressions for right now. So let's bring Noof Nukem into Noof Nukem. First of all, you posted on your Twitter where not only did you buy the game, you were able to get your hands on that awesome controller for the PlayStation 4, which is amazing. And of course, there's nothing better as a gamer than using. I don't know, maybe I'm a big old nerd, and that's fine. I like that. I like getting a game. I love getting the matching controller. I like using said controller with said game. And it's. Does it mean anything? No. Does it mean something to me? Sure. But your general impression, what so far as far as you've gotten, and you've been playing it for quite a bit, as a matter of fact.
21 plus hours, maybe almost 20.
And that's a sizable amount of time in this game. What have been your general impressions for The Last of Us 2?
Well, I agree with what you guys are saying. You're hitting the nail on the head. Like I said, where the first game, the story was paramount. This one, I mean, the story's definitely good, but they improved a lot of the aspects of the actual play mechanics themselves. They're far more fluid. They're more responsive. And of course, I think one of the biggest dynamics of this entire game that you didn't have in the original is the ability to sort of get out of the way in a hurry, and largely part because now you have the dodge button, which really adds a different element now to the game. Basically, the first game, if you remember, if a clicker grabbed you and you didn't have a shiv, you were pretty much screwed. Now there seems to be a little bit more options with how you tackle the enemies, and there are more enemies. Trust me, that is one thing about this game you will notice immediately, as there are spots in the game that slow down. But that's always been I think, a strength of The Last of Us, is that you're not constantly bombarded with enemies that you feel like you're playing a shooting game. You feel like you're in a fight for your life, and they let your heartbeat simmer down just enough, during these parts, and then you get into there's quite a few of these parts. I'm just going to say in one particular, it's not a spoiler, but anyway, but let's just say the first time one of those freaking enemies jumped out of the wall at me on an unexpected spot. I was trying to pick up some of the tools and the bolts and stuff, and this enemy pops out of the wall. And I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure I left a big brown streak in my underwear after that one. I get scared. I was like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" Dude,
I love it.
The best thing about this game, honestly, and I don't think it's getting enough praise, is how good the animation is and the facial expressions. The reviewers definitely nailed that one. I read some of the reviews, and when they talked about how you can literally feel the anguish and the pain and expressions coming through the characters, I've never seen it on this level. This is some next gen serious stuff right here. Like the eyes, there's tears in their eyes, there's sweat, there's blood, but you can see like their faces ripple. Things like the cloth physics and stuff on the characters. Like the first time Ellie's on the horse and the wind is blowing in the snowstorm, you can see the sleeves on her sweater, on her jacket. It's like flapping. I was like, well, these are little things, and I know they're very minute, but they're really cool details. It starts to really make you feel like you're part of a living world. And like you said, the sound design is on another level. When you listen with good headphones on, and you don't even need to hear these enemies. You can hear some of those creatures like roaming, and you're just like, you're already, your animosity level is starting to skyrocket. And you're like, how do I tackle this next scene? Should I go like just balls to the wall and run through the building? Should I start? And I love that. I love that risk reward element too, because if you want to shoot and you want to use lots of bullets, you have to take lots of risks to get them. And that's the thing. It's kind of a trade-off. So do you go into this room, maybe grab a little extra stuff, but also have to fight a few more enemies? It's always a cool little thing, So, there's so many elements of this game, but like I said, I think that the facial animations are on a next level. The game looks brilliant. The amount of foliage, draw distance, that's the thing you'll notice amazingly, is that the environments are absolutely stunners. They're
massive.
They're massive. And while the game is still semi-linear, I'm okay with that, because I really can't not a fan of the open world games. This game's got enough open world aspect to me, to just enough, kind of reminds you of the way the Tomb Raiders did it a little bit, where they keep you confined but do let you roam around a little bit. So they did so many things in this game absolutely well. Definitely the play control took a massive jump up. But yeah, dude, like those facial graphics as well. That's oh man, that's still that's impressive. Other studios need to take note and get on that bar.
Yeah, that's a great point. And of course, rounding out this amazing first part of the conversation, BitCloud Gaming. What are your general impressions for The Last of Us 2? Were you as moved as many people on the panel?
All right, so I live streamed this start to finish on the Twitch channel.
Nice.
Presentation alone. I'm just gonna get this out here. Presentation alone. This game's a damn 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Sound design, I get at a 10 out of 10. The attention to detail in these player models is, you would think, do we even need next gen consoles right now? That is how well they push the consoles on this. And this just further proves that, you know, the power in first party, you know, and talent. It just show off that console, show off that true power. They really knocked it out the park with the presentation of this. Enemies and AI. Now, what I love about this, I played this on moderate, right? On moderate difficulty, the AI is no slouch. The AI will use legit advanced tactics the further you get in the game, where the one will flank you, right? Or one will charge you like a bat, and the others will spread out and go, there he is, take him out. You know, they'll do that type of thing. Yeah. They are smart with the AI here. The NPCs that is usually around you, or the AI that's with you, is helpful. It's not no normal, it's not no slouch. So usually before, you can get a guaranteed stab off an enemy because they would just stand there and get grabbed by something and you can like save them. They don't do that no more. They can legit go and help you or take the lead for you and grab one of the enemies and help you level the playing field. It's really well done in those areas. Man, what else can I say about it? Oh, I love what they've done with the clickers. Now, one thing about the clickers in the first one, you ran into mostly runners and a few clickers throughout the first game, right? And it never really felt like they truly appreciated the stalkers. The stalkers, in my personal opinion, never really got proper screen time, at least to me, in the first one. And this one, the stalkers have literally jumped to my top like 3, maybe like number 1 to me when it comes to clickers and like the overall threat. I'm telling you, they're much creepier in this one. They're more menacing. In the first one, they were kind of dumb because all you had to do was throw a bottle at a wall and they will all go there. This one, stalkers legit wait and kind of camp. They kind of camp and wait, or if you're lucky to see one get run past, you can hit them there. But most of the time, they sit back and camp.
When they look out at you. Right?
Exactly. Some of them act like scouts. When they see you, they charge, and then they bring the others. And it's cool when they throw them in there. They got the other particular. What was the other? They got the Shamblers. Shamblers are a nice addition. Shamblers are a nice addition. That's no spoiler because they showed you guys this a long time ago. Shamblers are a nice addition to the game. I like those. I didn't think I would like those as much, but they're really, really good. It was definitely interesting to see how you killed the Shamblers. Like, you know, like do you kill them like a bloater? But, you know, they're actually quite easy to take out, and they're actually really cool to take out. I love what they done with the bloater, though. The bloaters are another, like, it's another story. They're like, they legit are more menacing. They're faster, and these things mean business. And the sound effects that they make when you shoot off like the little plates off their heads and all that, it's crazy. Like you can actually feel the anguish of the actual bloater when you shoot it, and when you throw Molotovs at it, it's crazy. Definitely a new level. Now it's a new it's on another level. Oh, obviously, there's more there. There's more surprises in terms of clickers and all that. So I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil any of the later game enemies. There are quite a bit. And you know what? It's awesome, actually it's not these creatures the only thing that you got to worry about. The human being element in here is tremendous.
Oh, and I didn't get into that too. Okay. So in the first one, most of the time in the first one, you're mostly using stealth to get past enemies, you know, especially if you don't have like a bunch of resources and you're playing on the harder difficulties. Last of Us 2 takes the stealth mechanic and ups the ante like higher than I ever thought they would do. They introduced a new prone mechanic, which I do think is a welcome change to the gameplay. It offers more flexibility and allows you to get past enemies without having to actually waste ammo and resources. the new again the whole implementation of like grass and all that you can get past. The enemies is really really good. I love that. And the fact that you have a new crafting system to go on top of that with better weapons, it really seals the deal. The new crafting system where you can actually craft suppressors.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that.
You know what? Let's move on to that and bring you back into the conversation there, BitCloud. You know, let's talk about the RPG element to the game that was added in and produced in a way that made not only the player challenged by wanting to upgrade your stats, but also the gun, the weapons that you found. Listen, I like I said, the reason why I haven't beaten it yet is because, like I said in the beginning, I'm a collector, and I am when I say I go through a level and I'm looking under every stone. If you're that type of gamer, you're going to get the most out of
a curse. It's a curse, guys.
It's a curse, and also at the same time, the best thing that you can do, because you find training manuals which give you the ability to add different things to craft.
I'm glad you said that, Boom. So you remember in the first one where you remember that little toy that Sam had in the first one?
Yes.
Did you know that that's in this game?
I did not know.
And
that.
Ellie has that on her mantle as a memento.
I did. You know what? I didn't even look at that. It's those little things that you miss. Yes,
it's awesome. It's awesome. Like I love that.
So do me a favor, BitCloud. Talk about that. Talk about the RPG element that gives you the ability to not only make your character better, but with movement speed and crafting speed. But it's weapons. The weapons that you find are phenomenal. So go ahead to break that down.
Yes, sir. So again, you guys remember Red Dead 2? Red Dead 2's up, like they set a bar with like the customization and the weapons. Last of Us 2 sets his own type of bar, but they're doing it like they add so much more detail to how like you break the weapons down and you upgrade them. So let's, for example, when Ellie upgrades like a crossbow and you put like a rangefinder on it, right? She'll actually legit take off the entire thing. Like she'll take it apart and you'll see her put the rangefinder on that and like fine tune it first, and then you'll see it in front of you, like the finished product and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. As you progress through the game, you get like these little training manuals. You'll find it's very similar to the first one, only I would say they updated it like beyond that. Like there's different type of tiers for it, like survival tier, hunting tier, and like medical. And these are each particular fields give you different abilities that you can add to your character that make you more efficient in combat. So, for example, when it comes to stealth, you can be like less, it's stuff that can help you be more like strategic in the way you go about like shivs and whatnot. You can do a lot of cooler stuff with it. Yeah. Supplements do return.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite thing to craft? Because my thing were
everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Man, so I can't. Well, okay. So I'll say favorite thing to craft in that game, aside from the suppressors, because those things really do come in handy. Oh, yeah. Aside from the suppressors, the mines, Molotovs, I would say it would have to be. I guess I can say it. Pipe bombs. I'll say pipe bombs was my favorite.
Okay. For me, it was the mines, because like usually in video games, I'm like I can't kill the dog. Right, like I have a big problem with animals and death in those types of games, but like in this one, I don't know what reason I switched that off. I was like Ivan Drago. I was just like, if the dog dies, it dies. Like I did not care. I would place mines, and then when the dogs and the guy were trying to sniff me out, the explosion and the giblets that would fly in the air, like even so good. Like real talk, there's explosive arrows. When you shoot someone with an explosion arrow, it's just an explosion of blood. Yeah. It's like it is visceral, but it's just like, oh, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. And then you got the new listen mode that adds on top of that. It's like it's really well done with the new listen mode. I do like what they've done though, because again, like you said, the dogs. I like how they give you a backstory with the dogs as well to go. Yeah, that's really well thought out. I thought that was cool. But another thing that I took note of, aside from all the crafting and whatnot, and all these weapons and all these new abilities you can craft and add to your character, this pretty much just adds to my theory that whenever they get started on factions, it's going to be bigger than what we originally planned. The reason why I said that,
that could be why it was delayed because of how big it's going to be.
There's a lot of factions here, guys. I'm talking. You have the WLF, which is the group that was introduced in the trailers. They talked about, again, no spoilers because they told you this. Obviously, you guys know Fireflies, which were in the first one. You guys see the Sacrifices. That's what they call it, Sacrifices, or the Scars. They talked about those.
Yeah.
Seraphites.
Yep.
They were in the trailer. You got those. I mean, dude, there's so many factions in here. That multiplayer can be insane.
You know what I'm wondering, and being that you brought up factions, I'm wondering if you're going to be able to be one of the creatures. Could they add that as a faction?
A horde mode? That would be dope.
That'd
That would
dope
be so good.
I think that could be coming because obviously, playing as the humans is great, but what they could do is very Left 4 Dead-ish, if you will. Remember, Left 4 Dead gave you the ability to play as the creatures. You know what I'm saying? So they could in turn use that ideology and bring that forward and give you the ability to be a clicker, to be a bloater.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like it's like a game move that takes away your weapons, right? And you have to find weapons, and you basically have clickers running around. You have to like evade them, find weapons, take them out, and like survive and revive teammates. Something that'd be cool. Like it's a survival thing. Again, there's so much there's so much possibilities they can do with the multiplayer now that they've kind of like, established a lot here for Foundation to go on, and it could be so much more better. Like it's crazy. Even the stealth, I can see them making the maps even more diverse than they've done before with grass and everything. And
I mean, listen, dude. Again, you completely knocking it out of the park. So let's go to Noof Nukem on this one. Noof, what are your thoughts on the control aspect of the game, as well as, of course, the crafting system, which has really, I mean, let me tell you something. In my opinion, Naughty Dog completely gets a 10 out of 10, in my opinion, when it comes to the crafting aspect. Sure. Are supplies in small demand? Absolutely. It is the apocalypse, but they give you the ability to make so many things. And again, if you are a frugal gamer like myself, who will stealth kill an entire level, you come to a point where you come across everything and you just don't have enough room to carry it. And, because you haven't fired off a shot. What are your thoughts on their crafting system? And of course, the RPG aspect.
Well, here's the deal. And this was one of my biggest complaints and flaws from the first Last of Us that's carried over to this game in a sense. And I'm in the minority category on this, and this is just my opinion. I get it. It's a survival horror game, I suppose, but I'm not a real big fan of all of the weapons. Like, for me, just give me 2 or 3 and give me some full clips. Because one thing I find with The Last of Us 2 is always having 3 bullets or 2 bullets. And, unless you're getting headshots or you're constantly stealthing your way around the environment, like, you run out of ammo like stupid quick. Sure, depending on what game mode you're playing on, you can pick up some more ammo and stuff like that. But I find you're switching a lot, like constantly rolling through your inventory. And, with the D-pad setup and stuff, that can be at times, when you're in the middle of a frantic battle and shit's chasing you and clickers are coming at you. The last thing I want to be doing is messing around with different guns. So, like, just give me a shotgun and a handgun, but let's give me at least a full clip for a change and let me have at it, that sort of thing. But it is well done. I mean, the way that they did the actual tables, when you find yourself the workbench, the detail here is on another level where you see them take apart the weapon and clean it with the rag and put the pieces on. It just looks very authentic, very cool. And all of the upgrades, again, they do come into play and they do help the mechanics as the game goes along. You will find that it gets easier to shoot at these things because now the guns will have less, recoil and stability, and you do get a chance to add extra clip ammo and all those sorts of things. I think it's really cool. Like I said, that's a me problem because I just never really cared for that inventory setup in the first game, and I certainly don't care for it now too much. That sort of thing, but I understand why they do what they do because that's what makes the game, again, fall into its own category. It's the way it plays out. They don't want The Last of Us becoming a shooter per se, where you're just kind of sitting behind a box and then just picking things off. If you want that style of a game, well, then you're basically playing Uncharted, because that's the basic difference between the two games. They're very similar, very familiar, because again, they're Naughty Dog, but that's the difference between The Last of Us and Uncharted, where you do get ample ammunition, and it's again more of a shooter akin to like the Gears of War. They did this very well. I mean, like I said, everything is easier. Even the way you're riding horses and stuff, it's a lot more fluid, it's more responsive. As I said earlier, the animation, the whole the L1 button to do the dodge and stuff. So the mechanics are definitely tighter, more precise. They're pretty amazing. They did a really good job. Like I said, they definitely improved on every aspect that garnered a lot of complaints from the last one. We're seeing some people in the chat here ragging us out about the story and saying how it's bad, and calling us all idiots because we're not talking about it. But you got to remember, there's a lot of people in this chat and going to watch this video later on, and they're going to be mad at us too if we give too much away. And
Noof, are you telling us that
Uh-oh.
people on the opinion or on the internet have strong opinions?
That is great.
Yeah, they're strong like the smell of a bad truck stop washroom. You know what I mean? Yeah, so, but yeah, it's fantastic mechanics, bro. Like it's fantastic. And I will say one thing: the damn dog segments. Oh, those are kind of frustrating.
Yeah,
Because they snip you out.
because those dogs are relentless.
I mean, in the old game, you basically just had to wait. You just sit behind a box and kind of wait. The enemies had a very linear pattern of the way they did patrols, and you could kind of either pick them off or sneak around. This game, very different because there's more of them, and they tend to be a more random. Like they seem like if you go to this one place and you're like, yeah, that looks like a great spot to hide. All of a sudden, they're coming right toward you, like shit, and then they set the dog, and the dog catches your scent, and then you got to start moving again. And then again, if you're moving too quickly and you're not using your cover properly, you get spotted extremely easy. And just get like over there, and then they start the cars start whistling.
Oh, dude,
like, oh, shit, they're coming.
That is so like I never thought whistling would be intimidating to me.
right?
Yeah,
Ain't that crazy? Like you notice they got like 3 distinct whistles. Like
Yep.
they represent something different. It's like
Yep.
holy hell, that is smart. Like it was real. That's smart. But it's like really.
Mm-hmm.
you know what I want to do?
Yeah,
is
go
what
for it.
what I want to do. Because I see people they're really getting on voicing their opinion. Which first of all, the 160 people that are here, I wanted to say thank you for coming and hanging out. I didn't expect this to have a tremendous amount of eyes or ears, simply because it's a very controversial game. But I want to get into the story. We're not going to get into specifics, but we are going to give our impressions on it. And I'm going to tell you this, I'll start out, and then we'll go right back to Noof on this one with the story. I will say this, and this is being completely fair. This is being honest. You have people on this panel that are going to give you an honest opinion. You do not have to worry about. We're not IGN. We're not trying to win Sony over. So if our opinion differs, then that well. I will say this with absolute confidence in where I am, as far as I've gotten in the story. I know I'm close to beating it, and I will say that this story does take an absolute, complete, crazy turn for the shocking halfway through. It is not as strong as a story as the first one. The first one dealt simply with Joel and Ellie. Ellie was a kid at the time. She didn't know how to swim. There were a lot of things going on where you just dealt with those characters, where the writing for this particular game is not as strong as the original story. I'll say that, but I just want you people to understand that takes nothing away from exactly what is going on.
Also, if I could just say, cheering for something to fail is a really big douche move.
I agree.
Don't be a douche. So, like, simple as that. Like, look, I play on PlayStation. I like The Last of Us Part 2. I'm not here rooting Halo 5's failure. There's people that worked on these games, sacrificed years of their time, their passion to create something. You don't have to be a dick on the internet because you're not as talented as these people. Just walk away. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
I'll say this. I'll say
You
this
know?
I want to say this in defense of what you're saying. First of all, and I talk about this all the time in most of my streams.
Yeah.
Not every game is for every gamer. That is a sad reality. And you know something, that's also a regular reality. You know, there are genres and tropes in genres that may not be your bag. Like, for instance, you know, maybe you're not into open world games, but semi-open world games, it better suit you because you don't feel overwhelmed, or you're not a really big sports fan, so Madden means nothing to you. That's fine, but it might mean something to someone else.
Exactly. Like when I said Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't for me, and I give a reason as to why, and that's it. I walk away. Like, real talk, everybody. I don't like Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I don't like Ori 2. Guess what? I still realize because why? I don't like 2D Metroidvania games. They're just not my shtick. I'm not smart enough for them. But I know that game's great. I know that game's masterful. I know those devs worked incredibly hard on that. And I know there's so many people that enjoy those games. So why would I want to shit on someone that enjoys something or is trying to be thoughtful with their critiques? Why would I want to just bang on? I don't get it. Like, honest to God, I don't get it. It's just like you can not enjoy something or it not be for you. That doesn't mean you have to go on a Twitter tirade or whatever have you because you don't like it. Just walk away from it. Let people enjoy that thing. I will gladly let people enjoy Ori because I know it's a great game. Just not for me, you know?
Well, you know what? Getting back to my point, I'm going to bring Nuke back in on the conversation. I will say one of my biggest issues, I said it in the beginning and I'll say it again, was the way that the story is told. It does feel certainly disjointed at times. The flashback scenes do come out of completely left field, and there are quite a bit of them. And I'm going to be honest with you, my excitement levels, this was like honestly, the game is like a roller coaster. And I really think most people will agree that there were a tremendous amount of really unbelievable highs, but when it gets to the lows, it drags. And some of these side stories, they really felt forced. And I hate feeling forced in the game. I want to be able to do what I want to do and progress the story how I want to progress it. And Naughty Dog took that away from you in some aspects. Not the entire game, certainly. The entire game is you're living the story of Ellie and Joel, and of course, midway through, something else happens that really takes the control away from the player, but in a way that I originally was upset about, but found that I quite enjoyed it. It had to grow on me for me to appreciate it. But the 4 years earlier, that kind of annoyed me, and there was quite a bit of those. But Noof, what are your story impressions? Are you in the same camp? Do you believe that this may not be the strongest of the two games regarding story?
Well, again, there are different plot changes. The first one was a little bit more straightforward, I guess you could say, right? And the first game spent obviously a lot of it establishing that character relationship between Joel and Ellie and their journey, and that was the big thing, right? And we got very attached to these characters, and essentially, like I said, again, this game sort of pulls the Halo 5. Where the character that you were hoping to be or play most of or were looking to enjoy more does not happen like that. Again, like you said, this game is almost divided in two parts. You got, the first half of the game, and then and that was the big part for me. And then when the second sort of half of the game came, and you're kind of thinking, well, this game is sort of like over, and then it continues on, and now all of a sudden, you're in completely different shoes. You're just like what the hell? Like I feel like this game in itself is trying to force you to like characters that maybe you shouldn't like or different things. But I get where they're going with the story. And ultimately, at the end of the day, this is a very simple. The first game was about finding the cure for humanity and taking this girl who had this very rare immunity and trying to figure out if she was the only one and could they find a cure to save humanity, to save the earth, that sort of thing. In this other game now, it's kind of like that hope is gone. And now it's just trying to put the pieces back together, what remains. And it's a big revenge story, right? So if you think on that, sure. Like I said, right now, to me, and like a lot of people that are given a negative about this game. The story so far, in my opinion, again, is its weakest part. It's just not for me entirely. I'm not completely done with it. Like I said, I'm not going to review this game. I'm not going to give it a score. I'll give it another couple days till I finish it. I'm getting very close. I was hoping to have it done by today, but obviously the game turned out to be a bit longer. And I'm like you, Boom. I tend to look in every nook and cranny, every hole, so to speak. Hey, that's a Noof Nukem thing, right? Make sure that I find every hole.
So I fucking love you, Noof, so much.
So yeah, so like I said, the story.
Speak
like
from the heart, Noof. Speak from the heart.
Some people are going to love this story. Some people are going to love it. They're going to think it was fantastic. I'm not about the characters. I'm definitely not. You know, I think Neil Druckmann and his storytelling team as well. I mean, if they're planning to continue this franchise, and I assume they will because it's largely successful. I mean, this in itself is their kind of way of seeing where their fan loyalties lie. Like, can they get away with doing a sequel that can continue on with different characters? We saw how that gravely affected Gears of War, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So we saw how switching the focus from Marcus Phoenix to JD took a bit of a hit on the franchise, and even more so with Gears 5 when, of course, what's her name?
Kate.
What the frick? Kate becomes the main character and sort of leads the charge. So, you know, this is not the first game to kind of pull this aspect, but it's always critical. Some people are going to love it, and some people will absolutely hate it. And we already know that Halo Infinite is largely based around Master Chief. I don't think we're going to see secondary characters because fans have basically said, we want Chief and everybody else. But, you know, in order to tell a great story,
you need more characters.
You got to have the sense of loss. Like, that's the problem with Superman, for example, right? That where he's one of the greatest superheroes of all time. There's very little arguing that. He's almost got every perfect thing that you could have. But the problem with Superman and why games with Superman or even movies are always tougher with Superman because he has one weakness, it's kryptonite. You know what I mean? Like, so the thing is, when you don't have vulnerable characters, when you can't put them in situations, that's like the Walking Dead TV show, which bears a lot of similarities to The Last of Us. You know what? That show didn't take on a life of its own until they started really getting rid of characters that you grew attached to, and you were like, wow, like you hated it. Yeah, remember when Glenn got killed on The Walking Dead?
Yep.
Like one of the biggest moments in TV history.
That was one of the biggest shocking moments. It was not even shocking. It was like shock value moments.
Right.
But
for games to evolve as a medium, for games to sort of get up there, their directors cannot be afraid to pull those kind of punches either, or all we got is a fucking superhero game. When you think of it, you got invincible characters that suffer no consequence. Oh, they get close like 500, but how many times can a character fall off a building or get shot or get cut or get the shit beat out of them, and they're back in the next game? Like, yeah, let's get going, guys. You know?
Yeah, they don't have a knee brace, you know.
Exactly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Get shot in the knee. I got an arrow in the knee. Let's keep going. But you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I think the story's going to be, you know.
That's
anyway,
why I
I'll
like
leave it
Captain
at that.
America.
Let
He's
somebody else jump in. I think I summed it up as good as I can.
And you did a great job doing it. Explaining it that way does make a lot of sense, and it does make digesting it certainly a lot better. Let's bring BitCloud into this, who's been chomping at the bit, so to speak, to get your opinion on the story. What are your thoughts on this epic or not so epic story that Naughty Dog put together?
All right. So like I said before, you got to play the full thing, guys, for you guys to fully understand why, you know, there's a lot of mixed reception. It's basically two games in one. So there's like a part A, part B type of thing here. Part A, okay, part A, aside from a shocking thing, you know, honestly, it's a mixed bag. It's going to be a mixed bag as you play it. And it's going to get to that point where as you're playing, you're right, and you're getting more context, you slowly start going, okay, I kind of see, you know, why this happened, right? I kind of see why they're going this route. But the closer and closer you get to a certain part, and towards the end, I don't know, you might have mixed feelings. You know, what I will say about the story is that I love the first one more. To be honest with you, the first one it focused strictly on two random people who become not only good friends but develop this bond. You know, it's like this father and exactly. They become this you know, the son. I mean, this father and daughter type of bond here. And I love how they continue that portion, like with the flashbacks and all that. The flashback scenes are just pure, just some of the best I have seen in a video game. The way they're shot, it's just so well. Like you can see the emotion, you can feel the sense of joy and the love that Joel has for this girl in this game. He really does. He really has taken Ellie as like his own, in a sense. But
you feel his love for this for Ellie, the Ellie character that is a representation of his daughter.
Yes, it's like the closest second chance he can basically get. That's the best way to put it. He sees Ellie as like a second chance. And he's so cling to her, and it's so true, and that's literally what it is. And it comes back to that situation in the first one, because obviously we played the first one, and I ask this all the time to those who might not disagree with me, but I go, okay, if you were in his situation and your daughter was the key to quote unquote saving humanity, right? Would you sacrifice your daughter for the world?
The answer is no.
Exactly. You're of that choice. Like, some people say, oh, I don't know, I think I'll do it. I'm like, you wouldn't do it. Stop. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't sacrifice your own child for the world. And that's what I love about, just the storytelling in this. You feel that emotion again. You continue as it goes through. And the scenes with Joel, again, they're so well done, even with the guitar. Yes, I never thought I'd get emotional with the guitar scene. Like, because remember he said, I'm going to teach you how to play guitar. I'm going to teach you to swim. I'm going to teach you basically how to survive. He's basically, I'm going to do everything what I can with Ellie. He does that, and it's just so well shot, and it's really well
just
done.
Just to add that using the touchpad for the strings is a genius.
It's actually a nice touch. Yeah, the little strums. It's a nice touch. I like that. And
I'll say this, just to your point about the guitar playing, it makes me even more upset that I didn't get the collector's edition. I'm gonna wait to find it on half price, but now it makes sense to why she's holding the guitar and it's not a Joel Ellie statue like from the original. If you have the original one,
it's
which
like
I
a
have
momentum. Yeah, it's like her holding on to like a vice type of thing. Whenever she's down, she goes and picks up a guitar and has a tender moment. Because there's a song, I'm saying? There's a song she plays, and one particular thing too. And I love this again. It was from the first one. You remember when you guys were at the university and he says, oh, when I was younger, I wanted to be a singer.
Yes.
Remember that? And she goes, sing something. He's like, I don't know about that. She's like, please. And then we get to this game. What does he do? He finally does that. It's awesome.
It's a showing of
awesome.
Of his character arc going full circle.
I put out a tweet today, and a lot of some people hit me up like, no, there's no way. I'm like, listen, Joel is one of the best creations. It's one of the best like game characters I've ever seen. One of the best. He's so well written. He's well acted. And this game right here will add more to it. Like I'm telling you right now, it adds so much more depth to his character. Yeah. Even at a certain part when you're at like again, I don't get too much details, but let's just say you're at a certain historic place. You're there, and there's like they're like referencing stuff from the past.
Yep.
It's shot. It's just, man, look, it's so good. It's really good.
I mean, again, lots of peaks and valleys in The Last of Us 2. For me, certainly more peaks than valleys. The valleys that I that came across that were a bit I guess jarring, I suppose. They work their way out. And again, if you are a fan of the series, if you're a fan of the characters, you will be slightly annoyed by the way the game goes from 100 to just standing still. But it's also telling of, in my opinion, integral part as to what happened to where you are from where you came from.
Yeah.
So they are important, but sometimes they seem a bit out of place. But let's move on to the graphics department, because
if I could speak a little bit on the story.
Oh yeah, sure. Come on in. Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to the story, like from the get-go, they give you the moment of like, all right, you're either in or you're out at this point. Like
pretty much.
I am on. I see where you're coming from, and I agree with a lot of it. I do lean more on Noof's half of like characters have to be vulnerable. right? Like, or else there is no their agency gets diminished because you know what's going to happen. Good guy going to win at the end, right?
Right.
So there needs to be this tipping in the scales, and you can't let a character have this arc or just create arcs to create an arc for this character, right?
Yeah.
Which we see in The Last of Us Part 2, they do try to do. I would say this: the first half of the game is great, but there are points in the story that it kind of hangs for an hour or two.
Yeah, you're
There's
kind of
no
like
real-
you're like on a slope, right? It feels like, do I really care about that? Do I really not? You know?
Yes,
and
and
it's really, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
The one thing that I would like to say too is towards the end we get the Ellie that I actually wanted, where I wanted it in the beginning. Ellie's on this revenge path where in the beginning it feels
She's
like
lethal, you know, it's old school Ellie. It's old school.
Not even it's her. Like when Neil was just like this is about hate. This is what you do when you're that angry. And are you willing to let go of that hatred? I didn't see that until the second half of this game when it comes to Ellie. I wanted to see Ellie really hurt. And there are moments when she gets to that point that are so incredibly impactful.
Right.
Where the sound design, again, when you're hearing like the tinnitus kind of like hit, right? Where you hear the high pitch bell whistle in her head where she can't hear anything else but that anger.
Yep.
I wanted more of that anger. I wanted more of that hate.
You want her to snap. You want her to break that rule.
Yeah,
I go past it. Yeah.
And so, but like when you see that happen the second half, I was like, all right, cool, fine. In terms of the first half being good, the second half takes a long time to pick up that pace. You're right. It does play like a side and a B side to a disc. Right. Yeah. And then they finally converge at C, and that's where the C side of it. And that's where the story really, really picks up. Is towards the end of both of the stories that are being played out here.
I love how they use Dina. Remember how we all thought Dina was like going to be kind of like a brush aside character? Dina's used as like a very clever like diffusion character for a lot of Ellie's like motions. I love that. Like a lot of she's really well done.
She is as a story pillar. She's Ellie's voice of reason.
Yes.
She is what her advice she should be taking. But she's not, and that's the really the awesome thing as well. Is a lot of these characters play more as to Ellie's emotions rather than to just actions. And so to me, the story's complex, but it's also flawed in terms of the pacing, and also there are plot holes in this.
Guys, listen. We're saving you guys. Like again, I know some of you might get upset with saying this, but when I say you have to experience it point A to point B, actually play it to understand why we're saying this. This is why I had to do a spoiler cast, because it's some plot holes in here that is just so unlike Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
To me.
Sorry, guys. For all you guys out there who had a crush on Ellie, sorry, she likes tacos.
He said what?
She likes tacos.
Yeah. And they play into that too. I love that in the game too. Like they play. She's like, I don't think so. But like to me, in terms of the story, the payoff, the end, how we get there, and the reflection points that play so well into The Last of Us, like where Last of Us 1, it ends the way it begins type of thing. But Joel being able to finally have that choice plays in here as well. So the story's great, but there are flaws here. And look at me being critical of a game without being a douchebag about it. Guys, I think we did it. Wow. I think we're able to have. It's called an adult conversation.
Hey, somebody give bad bit damn Twinkie. He killed that.
That was actually
it's
very well broken down.
Yeah,
he destroyed that. Yeah, that was good.
I mean, it just comes down to Naughty Dog being really great at the character relationships, of these characters and getting their
Mhm,
motivations down right. It's
Yep.
just how they get to those certain points that aren't that great. And the one thing I do want to mention here that I will be very blunt with is the mid boss fight, quote unquote,
Oh man,
is
yeah,
absolutely one of the worst boss fights I've ever played in a video game.
yeah.
It is awful. I
It
don't
is.
know why they
You
went
know,
that
you
way.
know what they needed? They you remember David from first one? They needed more of that for this.
Yep.
I would have fucking shat my pants.
Okay, I'm just trying to refresh my memory. Can you give me a hint as to what you're talking about the mid boss fight? Because
The theater.
Theater, sir.
theater.
I'll tell you
Theater.
off stream.
Yeah, well, we got it's a massive.
Yeah.
Listen, we gotta talk about that.
And also,
yeah.
and before here,
Right.
Last of Us is all about perception. There is no bad guy
Right.
in Last of Us Part 2. They do a really great job at doing showing the villains, quote unquote villains, motivations, and also the world around them as well, being all shades of gray. There's good, bad, and of course ugly when it comes to Last of Us. That's me. That's all I got.
No, I mean, and it's a great point, and I don't want to continue this hit parade because obviously we are at an hour and 15. I didn't expect to go this long, but we're not going to speed anything along. If you gals are still enjoying it, we have 165 people watching, and again, you know, I'm not doing this because I want clicks. I'm doing this because this is a great opportunity to hang out with the community as well as get our opinions out there. But let's talk about before we get into the I guess the weeds of today's program with where Naughty Dog goes next, and of course the overall review score or opinion about the game. Because Noof already said he's not giving it a score; he's going to give it his overall opinion, and then we'll eventually come back and we'll talk about that at a later date. But I want to talk about the graphics before we get to those two big topics, because the graphics are on display in a big way, and they have upped the ante in every way possible. And again, I understand that this game is getting hate because some people don't like the story, or some people don't like the game, or
It's the presentation though. That's another level.
There's a tremendous amount of presentation that goes into this particular game that sets it apart from many of the games that you play on a regular basis, and the overall perception by just looking on the surface does not give enough credence to the utter detail that goes into these characters. I mean, like for instance, there's a particular character that you meet in the beginning of the game. Her name is Abby, and later on in the game, you get to see like the blemishes on her skin. You get to see the freckles on her shoulders. I mean, these may seem minute to many, but if you are a graphics aficionado, you'll definitely appreciate the bruising and the scars and the cuts where you see on Ellie. It is unbelievably detailed. So let's Noof, what are your personal thoughts on how crazy these graphics are for the current hardware?
Well, this is why Naughty Dog is revered as one of the premier developers in the industry. And it definitely, I would say, for most people, they'd have to be in your top 5, at least if you like their games. I guess if you don't like their games, then, well, like, there's no helping you. But, Naughty Dog somehow continues to raise the bar. And the fact that they can raise the bar after this long on hardware, obviously, like I said, that is far less capable than the new ones that are just about to come out, and they keep raising that bar. It's just unbelievable. Like I said, the skin detail is nuts. The texture detail, especially on characters, their clothes, the weapons, the hair. You see everything, and these little things, like I said, the emotion that you can see in their eyes, the actual wrinkles in their skin, how stuff moves. These are, like you said, they're very small details, but Naughty Dog does them better than any other company. And because those details are so realistic, right down to the sound effects of creaking boards or you opening a drawer, et cetera, and the crunch of the visceral nature and the some of the kills in this game, the brutality is that also went up too. Like this game is, I don't know if we've seen it this grotesque but realistic at the same time. It's just nuts. The credit to the animators here on some of the stuff, because you're just like, whoa. Like, if you're of the weak of stomach and you don't like excess violence, this definitely is a game you might want to put the blinders on for. But yeah, the detail is just nuts. As I said, I can't. That's definitely one of the points I don't think anybody can take away from this game. If you're saying these graphics are bad or anything like that, then I'm sorry, dudes. Please go see the optometrist ASAP, because you have no idea what good graphics are if you're definitely going to rag on this game. It's
Some are just
definitely
lost in the sunken place at this point. If you think
Oh,
it's bad.
totally, man. Totally. I'm telling you. So, well, they say masturbation makes you blind, so I guess you guys better give it a
Yeah, that
rest,
is
okay?
true. Demise is a wrap. Oh no.
It's funny.
Yeah.
You can tell the emotion that this game has brought. For my channel, my dislikes are, you're going to get the 7D bags that just show up every time to give you thumbs, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. People are haters, right? So for the most part, I hover around like 94%, going into the stats of the channel. Looking at the dislikes, I'm already at 31.
Yeah. Never seen that many, Boom. Not on your show.
Again, this is why it's reflected to this. They either want to hear one thing: either you hate the game and say something like it's pushing an agenda, transgender, blah, blah, blah. They want to hear that dumb shit. But if you just be honest and see the game for what it has, while also critiquing what it does wrong, it's like they had this melt. They had this meltdown. I don't know what the
these guys are Xbox guys generally. They should be hating on this game.
Yeah, big cloud. Big cloud. Watch somebody call a big cloud of Xbox, dude. You gonna look stupid when you go to the channel.
It is what it is. But you know what, BitCloud? Let's bring you into the conversation regarding the graphics. Now, obviously, you heard what Noob had to say, and of course, like his other comments were really on point. This is a game that's closing out the PlayStation 4 generation that was, to say the least, amazing for Sony. They led in console sales, they led in marketing, they led in games being sold per console, the attachment rate, a lot of things to really like about what Sony did this generation. But this particular way is very reminiscent of what they did with the PlayStation 3. They closed out that generation with The Last of Us, and they're closing out the PlayStation 4 with The Last of Us 2. What are your thoughts on what they were able to do graphic-wise?
So you think about it, this is part A of B, right? Because we got Ghost of Tsushima also dropping, and that's going to end the PS4. But in terms of the graphics, okay. So again, like I said before, it's top tier. It shows why first party matters. It shows why Naughty Dog is where they are. They're at another league of their own. And honestly, it's very rare you find developers that can rival Rockstar in terms of quality like this and pushing graphics and infidelity. And what was also insane about this too is when you look at the Digital Foundry comparison, they look identical when it comes to PS4 and Pro. It looks damn near identical. It's crazy how well they pushed this game, the graphics, all that. And even the finer details, like when, for example, they stress this, guys, that Abby's afraid of heights. What if I told you guys, if you look down with Abby, she'll get delirious and nauseous, and like the screen will like zoom in and get distorted when she does this? Like, it's that good. It's that real. It's really that good. It's dope. Facial animations, another level. I love it. Honestly, the last, I can't even say that because it beats LA Noire. But I remember LA Noire at the time on PS3. I remember when we thought that was the best that we can get for visual. We're on another level now. Like, I can only imagine a LA Noire game with these type of visuals in the face. With the with the animations and everything. I can only imagine.
But the PlayStation 4 Pro has less teraflops.
And that's true. That is very, very true. It was like 4.2 teraflops, and they're pushing this type of graphics and fidelity. And of course, you got the people, the trolls saying 30 FPS. Yes, 30 FPS. Who gives a damn? You're still getting that on next gen. I don't know why the hell we're having this conversation.
Dude, I have a $3,000 real talk for a second here. I have a $3,000 PC. I can't do 4K and 60 FPS on most games. All right, so let's break out that false reality there.
Wait, how much you pay for your PC?
I got from NVIDIA. I got the what is it? The 2080 Ti thing.
Yikes.
Oh,
And I
we
got
2080.
Yeah, and then I got an i7. So like I could do 4K on like older titles, but when it comes to the newer stuff, I have to go from like ultra to high, or like high is usually where I want to go anyway, because then the frame rate is gonna dip in certain parts. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Mhm.
it's this reality that we're all walking into when it comes to this next generation. Again, like I'm bummed it can't be 60. I'd love it to be 60, but it is what it is.
Here's one spoiler in this game, though, guys. There are no
What's that?
horse testicles. Sorry.
No worse. That's
3 out of 5, dude.
Oh,
Horses
what the
don't
hell?
stop and take a
Rockstar
crap
was
like they do in
crazy
Red
with
Dead.
that. They actually put that as an accolade. Yeah, we got horse testicles.
I
Like,
can't-
dog, stop. Like,
I
come
can't
on.
wait when I
crap,
said I have
you
a $2,000 plus PC. People will be like, "No, he could definitely run it. I know his PC better."
What kind of what's your
can't
CPU?
wait.
Yeah, just get a higher performance CPU. You got that.
Yeah, I think that's what I need. I definitely need a higher, because when my PC broke down, my original one, I had to scramble for parts, and luckily the community was able to help me out a bit. So yeah, I like my PC alone when I built it back up, I think with everything was like 1,200 ish.
So for me, I put about $3,000 in mine.
Okay, yeah, and then
here's the thing though.
and then CD Projekt Red came in clutch with that GPU, which is like $1 million apparently, and it looks nice. It's yellow.
Yeah, it looks cool. Again, I like a fool. I retweeted just for the hope of winning it, but again, I don't think I'm winning. But anyway, back on point here. I recommend an i7. This is like since you do podcasts, and you do, obviously, I'm pretty sure you multitask when you do the show. i7, obviously for editing as well.
Yeah,
get an 8700K. That's what I rock.
I'll let you know what I have. This is a good PC portion of the show.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, this show is brought to you by PC Gamer. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen. Obviously, you know, getting back to the graphics, because again, we don't want to go too long on the show. We're gonna give our review in a few minutes, and of course,
on a scale 10 out of 10 on a scale, just to get mine out the way fast. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, with the graphics is unbelievable. But you know, Mr. Badbit, what are your thoughts on the graphics prowess?
Yeah, man, this game looks pretty. It is one of the most beautiful games I've seen this generation. I think the only one that does, and I said this, I still need to do it. I think the one that you could say either way is like a better looking game would be Red Dead 2, depending on what console you're using. Now that it's on Game Pass, I'm gonna check it out and be the judge for myself there. But also being that it's an open world game. Yeah, okay. I don't know the technical stuff it takes to do an open world game with that type of beauty and graphical fidelity it has. But that said, Last of Us 2, yeah, really beautiful. The animations are, man, out of this world. Like, a bit was saying just a second ago with, if Abby looks down, she gets visibly nauseous. The screen gets all effed up. When you get someone in a headlock, right, or in a sleeper hold, and you're seeing their face and their animations, it's nuts. And then when you stab them in the chest, it's like a waterfall of blood. It's kind of like a super soaker when it's about to run out of water. It's like,
do you see the face she makes when she stabs? Like she bites her lip and like has this angry look in her face. Like oh man, that's so good.
It's incredible. The animation that they have is, man.
And Abby pulling the old Mike Tyson there at one point.
Yeah.
Dude, listen. Again, Abby is well written, but man, she has some moments in here that had me go, I'm fucking scared of this woman. Like, holy hell, she had some moments in here. Like, bro, she's like curve stomping clickers. I'm like, dog, don't get on this woman's bad side.
No, absolutely not. She will mess you up. So overall, like graphics, it's this is fantastic. I can't wait to see what Ghosts does with its environment.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I mean, well, and again, a fantastic way to break it down. So let's you know what? Before we get into the overall score, let's talk about where Naughty Dog goes next, because obviously we know that they're done with Uncharted, at least allegedly done with Uncharted. They closed out Nathan Drake's story. I still think that there's tremendous amount of story left in that world. You have his brother to talk about. You have the two characters from Lost Legacy that could potentially take on another role. Sully is still alive and kicking. You can do a tale with him. Though I do think maybe at some point they bring his daughter, maybe 10 years later, that the towards the end of 4, maybe she becomes a treasure hunter like the mom and pop. I don't know. But obviously, we don't know if there's going to be more Last of Us 2. And we have heard that they're working potentially, again, this is rumor, that they're potentially working on something with a space theme, meaning that it's going to be it'd be Mass Effect like, if you will. And I'll go to Noof Nukem. Where do you want to see Naughty Dog goes? Because first of all, I think that they need to take a break. I think the company needs to give their employees room to breathe. I think they need to fix some internal issues in their own home or their own house, especially with the crunch culture that has been very, upfront with, in the news with Naughty Dog. And once they've gotten their stuff in order, where do you want to see them go?
Well, first off, shout out to all of the developers, whether you're an indie or AAA studio, that are still managing to get your stuff done while you're working from home. That in itself has to be tricky. It has to be challenging. It's never been done this way in the industry before. So let's give credit where credit's due to all of them across the industry that are trying to make this work. It cannot be easy. I can only imagine how many Skype calls and stuff like that they've had to do over their laptops and try to make sure this stuff works. Unbelievable. So kudos to them. Yeah, I definitely give them a little bit of a break. And now's the time to do it with this COVID world we live in. And God knows how long this is still going to linger. It could be months. Now is a great time just to give everybody a break. Get your mind back in the game, ready to refresh. Like you said, get the house in order. Make sure that the culture is right at your business, the biggest and foremost, because that's huge. People know their best work comes when they're happy, when they're, when they're paid well, when they're happy, when they're not tired. That's when they produce their best work, when you're motivated, so yeah, but where Naughty Dog goes from here, that's a very good question, and I have no answers. I personally, from Sony's perspective, I think they're going to want them to start The Last of Us 3 like probably ASAP, because this game's already setting some records. It's one of the biggest sellers, I think, so far, if not the biggest seller after 3 or 4 days on the market. And they were just talking about the physical sales, not even the digital stuff. So that's fantastic. Obviously this game has huge clout, and whether the sales are going to continue to be great after the initial responses to the game remains to be seen, or we could be sitting on a ton of Last of Us copies here and on sale for half price in 3 or 4 months if people would just say, well, this game, don't buy it, blah blah blah. But I would like to see them tackle something new. That's me personally, because I don't like to see any developer sort of get shoeholed into making the same old. And of course, I want to see Last of Us come back. And of course, I want to see more Uncharted. I think a lot of these studios now, they have the resources and the means to have several teams. And we all know that when the assets are in place, when you already have a great engine, you've got great talent, and the assets are in place, making a new game is definitely far faster and a little bit easier than starting from scratch, which is going to be interesting to see how things pan out on the PS5, which is obviously the next logical course of procession. And like I said, Lord only knows what the graphics and stuff are going to end up looking like on that console, considering what they're able to squeeze out of the current gen. So unbelievable. But yeah, where do you take that story? I'm not finished yet, so I guess I'll have to weigh in more on that after I see what the ending outcome is to this game. But yeah.
After a certain scene, I think their next project, from all the references, it really does look like it's going to be space. Their next project, it really does look like it.
So yeah, why don't you touch on that, Big Cloud? Where do you personally, as a fan of Naughty Dog, and I like to equate this developer as one of the elites in gaming, and if you want to challenge me on that, you can go right ahead. But I really believe that they believe to be in the top 5 developers of the entire community. Where do you want to see them go?
Honestly, again, whatever project they tackle, I already know they're gonna just really push that new. They're gonna push the ante. But as far as the setting, more likely it's definitely going to be space. It's going to be a space type game. The Savage Starlight comics you guys saw from the first game, they do return here, and there's tons of references to something like like they have a real interest in like a space themed title, and they really do kind of use Ellie to push that in one particular scene. Again, I'm not spoiling, but they do that. So I would have to say it's going to be space, whatever it's going to be. Whether it's going to be a strong single player experience or something with multiplayer, that remains to be seen. But yeah, that's why I see them going in the future. As far as The Last of Us, I honestly think this is it. I don't think we're going to get another one. I don't think they're going to spin it off. Well, actually, no, I can't even say I don't think they're going to spin off because it could happen. They have other characters now. They could very well do what they did with Uncharted, Lost Legacy. So they could spin this off and push other characters if they ever wanted to. Or honestly, do an origin story. Before the outbreak,
they absolutely can do that. That's a great point. I mean, listen, there's a lot of room to breathe, and it's going to be interesting to see where they go. But Mr. Badbit, for you personally, obviously we don't really know what Naughty Dog is going to do, right? And I think the easy answer is, oh yeah, they'll just make another Uncharted. They'll make another Lost Legacy. They can just cash cow the Last of Us and make a side project. But I think that team wants to go outside of their comfort zone, and we have heard a space-based story, a new IP to add to Sony's incredible first-party games. Is that where you want to see them go, or do you have another theory?
Part of me, the child inside, wants a Jack and Daxter sequel. Okay. So, because you know what I was thinking about, I'm like, after something, and at this point, I know it sounds like kind of mean to say about that IP, but it's like it's kind of beneath them at this point in time. It's like they don't. Obviously, they've done bigger and better, but like after having something so heavy, I would love to see them have something a little bit more lighthearted. But I think Naughty Dog is about telling more serious stories. So I like the space one because there's also more homages to Uncharted as well in here. It's actually tied to a trophy, which I thought was freaking awesome. So I'm thinking of the smaller stuff because Uncharted 3 had the Last of Us clues in there in that game in the very beginning. So I'm actually thinking there's somewhere along the lines we actually saw something of a fantasy setting. So maybe their next game is a fantasy game. That's what I would say.
That would be wow. That would be something I didn't expect, but it would be something that I would be greatly appreciated for them to again do something different
and something ambitious like Star Wars.
Oh, man, it's like a Mass Effect, maybe maybe make a trilogy, maybe their own version of Mass Effect with because they're good on memorable characters. They're good on
they're good at story.
Sure. And obviously the graphics that they're going to be able to push in the next generation are going to be literally mind numbing. But you know what? As we close out this incredible show, which again, I guess a lot of people didn't like the discussion, or maybe just they don't like the subject matter.
They came for blood, man. They came for blood.
Apparently, but you know what? That's okay because
they'll get it at the Spoilcast from Big Club.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. My dad used to say, but I'm going to give my overall review and my score. And I played with this quite a bit. Again, after 25 plus hours, this game had a lot more peaks than valleys. And even though I was initially bothered, to be honest with you, to the point where I didn't know if I wanted to continue midway through. But then when I started playing the game from this perspective, from the seeing it from other people's eyes, I started to really understand where Naughty Dog was going with their story and why they decided to do this, to basically take control away from the player and force you to this other story that you didn't expect to be there. And I think that all of the advantages in regards to the graphics and the RPG light system and the crafting. There are so many things to really like about this game. And again, my only takeaways I walked away from, again, over 25 hours of play, was how sometimes the flashback stories or episodes or side stories, however, whatever you want to call them, they do feel a little disjointed and out of place sometimes. I understand that they're complex and they're telling a story, but sometimes it just felt like, you go from balls to the wall to a snail's pace, and it kind of flatlined me when it came to my excitement. I literally was playing through these particular segments just to get them done, to get back to the action. So I think that in retrospect of it all, of seeing how I enjoyed this game, and I will continue to enjoy this game, and I will be going back into platinum this game, I have to give this a very, very solid 8.5 out of 10 for me. I had it at a 9.5. And again, what dropped it that 1 point, because I don't believe any game is a 10. That's just me. I mean, you can give games 10s, but they still going to have imperfections and flaws. For me, I feel comfortable where I am in the story, how much time I've spent, and how many trophies I've unlocked, and I've unlocked a shit ton of them. I feel solid with an 8.5. I think that's a solid score. I take off the 1.5 percent of the score due to some of the jarring story choices that they've made, as long as some of the pacing wasn't as pristine as the original, especially the story not being as strong. So I'll go to Noof Nukem. Let's get your opinion on what you've played so far.
Like I said, about 22 hours in so far, and it's been a fantastic ride up to this point. Like, I won't score it per se. I want to leave at least that for another couple of days till I get to the ending, and I can accurately judge the entire game. But I mean, like I said, I think you don't have to play the entire game to figure out if you like it or not, because it doesn't change that much from hour 3 or 4 into 22. It's just, again, there's a change of pacing. Obviously, there's some different narratives happening with the story, right? But I mean, the outside of the game is pretty much the same mechanically from the get-go as you get through the right to the end. I've got to say, the snowball fight at the very start of the game was ingenious too. I like that. I thought it was a nice little touch. The way that they do some of these little aiming games, they're kind of like games within the game. You kind of have a little fun with it, but it's essentially trying to teach. Yeah, it's basically teaching you how to aim, and it's sort of like training, but they do it in fun little ways. I think that's cute. There's PS3s littered throughout the game. Lots of little tidbits in there, like you alluded to earlier, the thing that Sam had that's on her shelf, on Ellie's shelf. And of course, there's PS3s with Uncharted and some Naughty Dog games like littered in different places in the game. You've probably seen the screenshots out there in various places. The game is phenomenal in almost all aspects, and that's the thing which you have to look at when you have to compare it to the first game, and that's the most accurate comparison, is compare it to the game that it's most like, which would be the first one, not to a different style of franchise. Like, you can't compare this game, say, to God of War per se, because they're completely different games.
Absolutely.
Right? They're story narrative games. I don't think this game for me hits the same heights that God of War hit for me, but it doesn't make it not a good game. You know what I mean? It's just different. The way they go about it is different. Graphically, sound, play control, almost every facet of this game improved over its predecessor. The real big kicker, and the one that, like I said, that most people are complaining about, and this is subjective, is the story. Like I said, some people are going to think it's fantastic, which would explain why the game has gotten 10s from a lot of different review places, and some people hate it, which would definitely goes down into those 6s and 7s. But the game 4s and 5s, guys, that's mediocre. That's like calling it almost trash, and this game is by no means anywhere close to being a trash game. So I'm just saying, if I was reviewing the game, it would definitely be a high score. Whether that ends up being 8, 9, or a little above will ultimately come down to my final review on that. But it is amazing. I think if you love the first game, I don't know how you will not enjoy this game. So go pick it up, try it for yourself. Just be prepared. If you haven't been watching the spoilers, and I won't give them away here, there will be some big shockers. There will be some surprises. There will be lots of moments in this game where you feel senses of fear, happiness, elation, sadness. That's the thing about this game, and that's the thing about Naughty Dog in general, and that very few other games have been able to reach, is how that Naughty Dog strings you through different emotions playing a game. Like, let me compare it to my favorite franchise on Xbox, which is Gears of War. Gears of War is a fantastic game, and I love them all very dearly. But Gears never takes me through those strings of emotions. It's kind of like you start at point A, you go to point B, and it's pretty much the same all the way through. Watch a cutscene. That's where the Xbox studios and their studios have to sort of elevate their game, is giving you that connection to characters that make the journey feel worth the while. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas Naughty Dog is a master of this. I think they're probably the best company that does this. Even through Uncharted, just by having Nathan Drake be a very witty, very likable character, his relation with Sully, the highs and the lows, the action, there's a lot of different things in there. So let's hope that more companies can follow their lead. I'm not saying they got to go out and make the exact same Naughty Dog game, but they just need to step it up on storytelling. And some people complain about cutscenes. Too much cutscenes. But that's the whole point. That's the point that ties together the gameplay. And without those meaningful scenes, without those relationships, without the consequences, without the vulnerabilities that we see through these fucking so-unquote cutscenes, that's what brings the game together. It has to be solid on both sides. You can have long cutscenes, but make the gameplay worth the while too. You know what I mean?
That's a great point. I'm very, very well said. So let's get Mr. Badbit's opinion on this. What would you review? What if you were reviewing this game? What would be your overall end score?
You know, I was really enjoying this game until it got all political and put politics in it. I don't know why games decided to put politics in it, and then they made it a movie. And then you know, it's just the worst. This is the worst game ever made. Insert a homophobic reference here. It's awful. What happened to good cis white male things? I don't know. I don't understand where things went wrong. And honestly, my safe space is being encroached on. Now, in all seriousness, and being an adult now, this game has highs and lows, man. You know, in terms of story, it's not perfect, but it is powerful, and I think that's my takeaway of the story. You know, there are plot holes here. Yes, there are cutscenes. You're gonna have to prepare for some of them. You know, but when it comes to the gameplay, this is Naughty Dog's magnum opus when it comes to gameplay. I feel like they've gotten the stealth mechanics down to a T. The action feels great. The customization of your character, their abilities throughout the game is fantastic. Their world building in this game is top notch. When we're talking about the Civil War in Seattle, you're really getting all sides of that conflict within this small personal story. The sound design is the best I've seen or heard in a video game. They've made clickers sound intimidating at start, but actually scared shitless of them, and I know exactly what they are and what they're able to do, but I'm still paralyzed with fear, especially when you go in that goddamn hospital. So with that said, I think the gameplay here is fantastic. I think the story here is great with some exceptions. And yes, if we're going to have a serious conversation other than, you know, why did they do A, B, and C? Because I didn't like it. There are some serious critiques to give. And I love the conversation I'm seeing. You know, BitCloud, you hinted at it as well when you were talking about it. There are honest critiques here that I can't wait once we're out of the melodrama that is a Metacritic score. Once we get the fanboys and the people that just, you know, I don't know, hate for no reason, sad people. Once they're out of the equation, and then people that actually played the game and didn't watch a stream have that conversation with each other, that's going to be fantastic. But
yeah, it's funny because that comment I put earlier, remember that comment I told you, boom, I said Joel's one of the greatest characters of all time. Yeah. I said one of that. I didn't say he's the greatest, but somebody put one of the spoilers in the damn in the thread to be like, you know, a certain scene with Abby. They put that in there. I'm like,
you're a piece of trash. And that's again,
I don't get it.
but the thing is though, how good this story is and how good storytelling is in this genre at this point is you can drop any spoiler about this game. I could tell you the end right now. It is the journey, not the destination. Again, as someone who's had it spoiled.
Point. Yes.
Yeah. I had it spoiled throughout the whole entire way. I knew story beat by story beat, and I'm going to tell you this, man, great. It didn't ruin it. It didn't tarnish it. It's a great story, but it has problems, and I can't wait.
Issues getting from point. The best way it has issues. Issues going from point A to point B.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
So I give it 10 teraflops out of how many does the Xbox One have?
12.
I give it 10 teraflops, 10.2 variable clock rate out of 12.
He had to do that.
Yeah,
oh, no.
I had to. No, in all seriousness, this is a strong recommendation. If you own a PlayStation, go out there. This is one of the defining games of the PlayStation generation. And thank God the 35 people that dislike this on YouTube weren't the end result, because it seems like the game is a very big commercial success, which I'm happy for that team that worked so very hard on this game. They all deserve a victory lap, and yes, a gosh dang vacation, and hopefully they start getting treated with some gosh dang respect from everybody, whether that is their management, whether it is the people that try to flame more stuff. All around, these people deserve a round of applause, because they're giving us stuff that honestly, looking at some of the comments, we don't deserve, and it's pushing the industry forward. So
yeah, actually, great point. And of course, closing out today's unbelievable show, BitCloud, why don't you give your opinion or review of the Last of Us 2?
Yeah, so like I said, for presentation, the overall package from presentation, the sound, the gameplay. I mean, it's at this point where I think it's safe to say that video games can be looked at as art. At this point, it's that good. It looks that good. Yeah. But as far as again, the story is really where my biggest sense of criticism goes to, and it's for obvious reasons. It's not me being picky. It's just for obvious reasons, especially if you are a diehard from the first going into this and then getting into the end result. Now, if you are new and you never played part 1 and you played this would probably be like a 10 out of 10 banger from you, because you're like, damn, what did I miss out on the first one, you know? And it can definitely be that for you if you did not play the first. But as someone who's played the first, going into this and getting to the climax, and ironically, you know, my reaction is archived on the channel on the Twitch, but getting there to there again is like, if I had to rate this, I honestly have to rate this. Do I want to give it a 9? I would, but I can't give it a 9. I can't give it a 10. I'll give it an 8.
Okay.
So far, 8. Maybe
that's too low, and I hate you.
No, I'll give it an 8.
You and GameSpot, I hate both of you.
No, it's funny. The more I thought about other stuff, right? It's like the more you think about stuff, you know what I'm talking about, Babbitt. You know what I'm talking about. Like, it's the more you think about the other stuff, it makes you want to go lower in the score, because it's like you got so much good stuff here. You've done so much well. Like, even the rope mechanics, they mastered the rope mechanics.
Yeah. And that's so funny, because when my one buddy Sean, who beat it, he was kind of low on the game, and I came off super high on the game. And then when we had our conversations, it flipped, where he was just like, actually, I see your points, and this is actually now way better than I thought it was. And I was like, I see your points, it's a bit lower than I thought it was. So it's layers, man. This is
like when I beat the game, guys, I want you guys to understand this. I was sitting at like a 7.
Yeah.
That's like right now to everybody in the chat. I went to an 8 because, again, the overall package is there. It's just, again, what's holding it together? What holds the game together, guys? Story.
Yes.
You know, that's what holds the game together. Story. If you don't have a strong story from beginning to end, well, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna devalue the overall package, and that's what it is. It's definitely a hiccup from Naughty Dog. I never expected that from a Naughty Dog developer at all. But hey, trial and error, right? Trial and error. As far as like them making another one, will we get another one?
I hope not, actually.
I doubt it. I actually think it's best just to move on. And from all the references I saw, the Jack and Daxter in this game, hey man, give us Jack and Daxter.
Let's go.
Let's get it. Y'all seen the amount of PS3s in this game? Y'all see the amount of PS3s. Y'all saw the Jack and Daxter conveniently just laying around the
even a couple of Vitas in there.
Yeah, the Vita, they were playing Hotline Miami. It's like
Also, talk about animation there. She's actually playing that game. She's actually playing
the game on the screen.
Yeah, it was actually like it's not like she was in a pause menu or whatever. Like you saw her little character moving throughout the level and dying at a certain point and then going over. It's awesome.
Yep.
Well, listen, what I'll say is this has been a much longer show than I anticipated. But you know what? We had to get our opinions out there, whether you like them, you hate them. Obviously, I'm a little taken aback as a content creator. I would get so many dislikes for, I mean, obviously, if you are a fan of the channel, then you understand I bring it 100%. So I'm a little disappointed. I'm going to be honest with you. With the amount of dislikes to the point where it makes me wonder when people say good, nice things about you, and when they don't get their way, they act like children. And I think it's disrespectful. I'm going to walk away from this event insulted. I'm going to be honest with you. And if you are one of the people that gave a dislike, it's your opinion, and I will not challenge you on that. But I am going to say, as a content creator who brings it 3 live shows a week, I am severely disappointed with this community. I am going to be honest, because if we were just, you know, ass slapping around and not really getting to the point of the show, I can understand, well, there was not enough content for worthy of your thumbs up. But to walk away with nearly 40 dislikes because you may dislike a game is insulting to content creators. And I think that all of these gentlemen here will agree with me. You don't do that to people that you're supposed to be fans of. And again, maybe I'm taking it to the next level, and maybe I'm a little bit more aggravated than I should be. But I give my blood, sweat, and tears to this community with the amount of content. I ask for nothing in return. Of course, I am very, very happy and thrilled and humbled more times than you can imagine with the super chats. But the thumbs ups definitely help the channel. The thumbs down certainly do not. So I'll leave it at that. And I'm going to get into, of course, the outros, and we'll start with our resident trophy hunter, someone that I believe is represents the PlayStation community, but the gaming community in a proper manner. BitCloud Gaming, thank you so much for being here. Obviously, we're not having breakfast with Boom this week. Obviously, I'm taking some time off to spend with the missus, but you do have your show Friday afternoon. Why don't you tell everybody where they can follow you on Twitter and also check out your outstanding YouTube channel?
Yeah. So I'll give you a little advice here, Boom. As I learned as a content creator, you're gonna have those weirdos in the community that are just weird.
I know.
And you always have the real ones that's there. Those who truly support will be here, even when you least expect they'll be here. You know what I'm saying? So just continue to do what you need to do. Make your shows, have fun. Overall, that's what you should be. Having fun with your content. Have fun with your content.
Yeah.
Make sure you put out the content that you want, not what anybody else wants. You put out the content that you are strong about and you're passionate about. And that right there is where good things will continue to happen. But as far as
appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely. As far as you, though, I want to say, first of all, congratulations to you and your wife.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Congratulations. That is awesome. I wish you guys nothing but happiness, love, and everything. And just all the best as you guys continue going through these rough couple of years that were more likely ahead of us, especially with the state of the world. But you already know it's family. You got loved ones, and overall, you just, that's what matters the most out here. So make sure you value that. Take care.
Absolutely. But thank you very much, dude. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Obviously, Breakfast with Boom is not tomorrow, so obviously we're taking a break from that, so you guys won't hear us tomorrow. But you guys are interested, you guys can find me, BitCloud Gaming, it's my YouTube channel, especially Twitter, same name. Fridays, I host a podcast called the RGT Podcast. Do it every Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. No bullshit, no fanboyism. We keep it gaming. We're very fair. We tell it how it is, and we have fun. You guys are interested? Definitely see you there. If not, well, you already know you'll see me here Fridays. But
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with us, dude. Super appreciate it. Again, this was something I wanted to get us together to talk about, because everyone on this panel is not only someone that I remotely care about as friends, but I trust their opinions and value what they bring to this community. And talking of community, we have to bring in Noof Nukem, someone that exemplifies what it means to be an outstanding community member. Now, Noof, obviously, you have an amazing show. You had your show last night. And of course, you're going to be having the return of your co-host, hopefully much sooner than later. But of course, I want you to tell people not only about your YouTube channel, but also where they can talk with you on social media and potentially get involved in a game night, something that you do often.
Absolutely. But first off, it's just Noof Nukem on Twitter. It is Noof Nukem. That's my YouTube channel. If you're not familiar, go check it out. Hopefully you'll drop a like or maybe a follow. It's always appreciated. We will try to do community game night this Saturday. If all goes well, I'm going to try to line something up. I'll just put a poll out in the community and see what games people are feeling for this weekend. But we'll try it there. Yeah, Primal didn't make it last night. I guess she was having some power outages in her area, so it just didn't work out. But we did have Titan Drago on. It's good to see him back in the community. Caught him on your show, and and he was in and did a fantastic job last night. We had a great time. It was actually one of the best podcasts of Gaming After Dark we had in quite a while. You should have heard my little Animal Crossing rant. It was pretty hilarious. But like I said, guys, thanks for coming out. Don't worry about the dislikes. Boom. I mean, half of the people that gave you a dislike today are just the kind of people that wipe their butt with one-ply toilet paper. So which means you get a lot of crap on their hands. And congratulations on the anniversary. 20 years is a massive achievement in this day and age, to be with your loved one, because God knows it can be trying at times, and we all go through ups and downs. So congratulations on that. Again, to the success of the channel. Don't let the thumbs down get you, because you got to remember you also got 109 likes, at least at this point. So lots of people love what you do, support what you do, and they'll continue to do so, whether they agree with your opinions or not. But guys, this is a fantastic panel. I love to everybody articulate what they did with The Last of Us, and I can't wait to finish it off so I can kind of give you my accurate assessment of the game. It's amazing. Go check it out for yourself, and I will see you guys all soon. And one last thing. I just wanted to say that when I was sitting in the background and I was listening to this podcast the entire time, and it was fantastic. It was great. Everybody had fantastic opinions. And I just wanted to put this out there for you guys at Naughty Dog in the studios. If you're going to make The Last of Us, I want you to put me in a game. I want to be in there. I want to be Joel, because I want to ride a horse, and I want to say, Ellie, you get in the corner, you kick the button of that clicker, it's making noise, I don't like it, so you smack it, doing it, go and do it now. That's what I want to do. I want to be Joel. I just don't want to get golf club, but let's go.
Thanks for being here. And once again, I apologize flying you all the way out here on your own dime, not to be called upon. We have to fix that, and we're going to bring you in first. Before, you know what we'll do, Arnold? We'll bring you in first before Noof the next time he comes on the show. How do you like them apples?
Absolutely. This episode of Boom's podcast has been brought to you by Titleist Golf Clubs.
Great. And certainly, last and no way least, someone that I recently added to many of my shows, someone that I think is not only an upcoming superstar within the YouTube game, he is what, again, exemplifies what it means to be an outstanding community member, with the way he handles his business on his outstanding trophy room show that everyone should be watching. Mr. Badbit, why don't you tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, but also check out your outstanding and growing YouTube channel?
Listen, I'll take responsibility for all the dislikes. That's fair. Listen, I get it.
Responsible for people hating on a video game.
Yeah, dude, I know it's crazy. It's not
ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's whatever. I don't care. Again, we have fun here. That's what it's all about. Having fun with your buds, and that's what I did today, man. This was a fantastic talk. Again, it's a weird game, because I feel like at the end of the day, we all came off going, all right, it was pretty good. It's a mixed bag story wise. It's solid gameplay wise. But you know what? Maybe I could get some likes back in here. Maybe I can manage out the dislikes. I will remove my review, and I will say I'm giving it 9 teraflops with heating issues to 12 teraflops and a tower of power. There you go.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
you can find me over at Bad Bit Games, Mr. Bad Bit on Twitter, all that spiel. And yeah, thank you for having me, guys.
Well, once again, thanks for the near 200 people that came out today. Didn't expect a lot of people because again, this is a game that walks a fine line with enjoyment and controversy. But of course, if you did enjoy today's show and you're new, of course, I highly recommend you subscribe to the channel. You will get a lot of live content that covers all three consoles, and we do it in a way that is respectful and fun, and it makes listening to the shows enjoyable. And of course, if you are enjoying it, I would appreciate certainly a thumbs up to get that up there. And again, I normally don't care about those kinds of stats, but when again, maybe I was a little overly annoyed, and maybe I should have kept it to myself. But most of the time, I'm not bothered by anything. I am bothered today, and that's fine. You are going to get that every now and again. But I want to thank everyone that came out. I want to thank the super chats that continue to come in. Your generosity is second to none. I want to thank you very much. And we did have one come in towards the end, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about it. Let me see if I could find it. It was someone congratulating us for the 20th anniversary. Yes, it was VJ who drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat, and he says, "Happy 20th anniversary." And VJ, I did message you in the chat. Thank you for the well wishes, of course, the generosity. But we're going to be back in a big way. There are a lot of big things coming for the channel, lots of Xbox coverage. Again, tomorrow's Xbox Factor podcast is going to be nothing short of the best in 2020. Lots of breaking news, big news from Phil Spencer, big news from Halo, a theory of mine as to why Mixer was closed. Besides it just bleeding money, I have a theory that's going to blow your entire mind. But once again, I want to thank everybody for being here, and please be safe. Enjoy gaming regardless of what console that you game on. And I'm going to close out this particular show with something that my dad taught me very early on, and I think it's important more now than ever. Treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on lots of content coming from Double Barrel Gaming.